At 67, I finally understand what people tried to warn me about at 50. When I was 50, people would say things to me that sounded wise, vague. Plus, I would look at their lives and think to myself, well, I'm not so sure I should listen to this. They'd say time moves faster than you think. Take care of yourself. Be intentional. Enjoy this phase. I nodded, I agreed, and then I kept living exactly the same way. Now I'm 67, and I finally understand what they meant. Not emotionally, not intellectually, but experientially. They'd been around longer, they had more experience than me, and that was the bottom line. This isn't a story about regret. It's a story about perspective, because something interesting happens as you age. Life doesn't get smaller. It gets clearer. At 50, you're still juggling a lot. Responsibilities, expectations, momentum. For me, I was thinking about what's the next thing down the road. You still feel strong enough to push things down the road a little further. I'll get to that later. There's time. Next year. At 67, you realize that later isn't a place you arrive at. It's a direction you keep choosing. What people were really trying to warn me about at 50 wasn't decline, it was drift. The slow, quiet drift that happens when you stop choosing deliberately and start relying on habit. At 50, habit feels efficient. And I was always tuning up my habits. I'm an old framer. I'm an old carpenter. I'm an old get-her-done guy. And I'll tell you, the minute I wake up, before I go to bed, I have things ready to go. So when the bell rings in the morning, I'm after it. So it's a process that never stopped with me. But as I aged, things just changed. The world changed around me, and there's nothing you can do about that. All you can do is change you. At 67, you see how powerful and dangerous it can be. One of the biggest lessons I understand now is about time. Not time as a number, time as attention. At 50, I measured time in years. At 67, I measured it in moments. Mornings when your mind feels clear. Conversation where you're fully present. Evenings where nothing hurts and nothing is rushed. Those moments don't disappear suddenly. They fade when you stop protecting them. People used to tell me, slow down a little. I thought that means doing less. What it actually meant was noticing more. You don't need more time. You need fewer distractions. Another thing I finally understand is what they meant when they talked about health. They weren't warning me out of fear. They were pointing me towards freedom. 50, health feels like maintenance. At 67, it feels like access. Access to movement, access to energy, access to independence. And I've seen this firsthand. My generation, it was sex and drugs and rock and roll. And being in construction, we hit it hard. We played hard. We worked hard and we played hard. So now that I'm older, I can look around at the guys that never got off the party bus, and they're not doing so good. Your body doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for consistency. Small walks matter, simple strengths matter, sleep matters more than you think. Definitely have to get good sleep. Not because you're trying to extend life endlessly, but because you want to live well inside the years you have. Health isn't about fighting age, it's about cooperating with it. That's something I couldn't fully grasp at 50, no matter how many times I heard it. I asked my grandma, who was 103, and I said, can't you just get new parts? And she said, well, no. Let me tell you, Fred, things just wear out. And I didn't understand that. Well, I've got all kinds of broken parts on me, and I understand it. You can't just replace them. It's better just to take care of what you got. We worked in harsh environments, under grueling conditions, and you laugh about it. And that's how you get through it. through a tough day. But it's no joke. They'd say things like, make the call, don't wait too long, people matter. At age 50, relationships felt stable. So at 67, I see how much they depend on presence, not constant communication, not forced effort. Presence. Listening while waiting to respond. Showing up without an agenda. Saying what matters while there's still time to say it. The beautiful thing is, relationships don't require perfection. They respond to sincerity. Most people don't need more from you. They just want you. Another warning that makes sense now is about work and identity. At 50, work can feel like proof. Proof that you're capable, useful, and relevant. At 67, work becomes something else. You start asking quieter questions. Did this matter? Did this help? Did this align with who I actually am? Your worth stops being measured by output and starts being measured by contribution. And here's the encouraging part. Purpose doesn't retire. It evolves. Purpose becomes mentoring, teaching, building things that outlast you, being steady when others are uncertain. People tried to tell me that success without meaning eventually feels hollow. I didn't fully understand that until I felt the difference myself. Another thing I understand now is fear. At 50, fear feels like something to avoid. At 67, it feels like information. Fear often shows you where growth lives. Not reckless fear, not danger, but the quiet fear that asks, what if you tried this? What if you said no? What if you changed course? You don't need to conquer fear. You just need to stop letting it make decisions on your behalf. The shift alone changes how life feels. Money is another arena where the warning finally makes sense. People said, don't chase more than you need. At 50, that sounded limiting. At 67, it sounds wise to a limit. In other words, chasing money isn't everything. That's the point behind that. If you want to get rich to your wildest dreams. I'm all for that. Enough isn't a number, it's a feeling. Enough means sleeping well. Enough means choice. Enough means not needing to impress. So think about it. I thought about this. I was looking at a lot of fancy cars, hypercars, building a big house, having a 6-car garage, having all the cars in it. I'm looking at the guys that have this. Well, they have to hire a guy to maintain all of that. Then one guy had all his cars stolen. He was in another country jet-setting around. And since I've downsized, I realized I don't have to worry about all my tools and equipment. I don't have to worry about my brand new truck and someone denting it up. And I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice to have a truck. I'm just saying, for me, now that I'm older, I have a 10-year-old car. The registration's cheaper. The insurance is way cheaper. It's really fast. It's a police interceptor. It's got a few dents and dings. But I'm not going to cry if someone opens a door on it. So I'm just saying, it's one thing to think about. Financial peace isn't about accumulation. It's about alignment. And alignment brings calm. One more of those things I finally understand is this. Life isn't rushing you, it's responding to you. What you repeat becomes your reality. What you avoid quietly grows. When you invest, it compounds. That's not judgment, that's feedback. At 67, I don't feel like I missed my chance. I feel like I understand the rules better. And here's what I wish I could have fully heard at 50. You don't need to change everything. You just need to choose intentionally. Protect your energy. Spend time where it actually matters. Care for your body like it's a partner, not a problem. Say what needs to be said. Let go of what no longer fits. Life doesn't ask for urgency. It asks for awareness. If you're watching this at 40, 50, or even 60, this isn't a warning meant to scare you. It's an invitation. You're in a powerful phase of your life, one where wisdom and possibility overlap. You have experience. That overlap doesn't last forever, but while it's here, it's incredibly valuable. At 67, I fully understand what people tried to warn me about at 50. They weren't predicting loss. They were pointing towards clarity. And clarity, when you act on it, is one of the greatest gifts life offers. Fred Hammer out.